evolving seed banks of locally adapted crops. The idea is simple. Make a place where farmers can safely store enough seeds for next year's crop, plus a reserve.
Seeds are always here. Seeds of different crops are always here up until the communities are sure that the rain is reliable, the planted seeds are growing up, and the seedlings are vigorous to produce, to grow up into new crops.
These seeds are stored until the new crops are ripe, and the community is sure there will be enough food. It's only then that the stored seed will be taken to market. This kind of seed bank is an insurance policy, one that grows out new seeds every year, seeds that are evolving to resist climate change and new diseases, maintaining security for the food supply.
Plants have this penchant for diversifying themselves. It's how they evolve. It's how they adapt to their changing landscape and changing pressures upon them. So every seed is unique in some ways. At least that's how it's always been. They're social. They're social in that people have always been there, selecting for and encouraging that diversity and using that penchant for diversity in one way or another to adapt the plants to their own cultural needs, their own socio-economic needs, whatever it is, and also to the farms and again to the changing landscape. So it's seeds have always been a reflection of who we are and what our societies look like.
I think that people will see less diverse things on their food plate from increasingly a narrower gene pool, and they will see probably their foods produced in methods that, when they understand how it's produced or how that variety came to be, that they probably will not like.
Most of the food that we eat today didn't come from North America. It came from places like this, places where people and plants have evolved together for thousands of years. This is traditional, not industrial agriculture. It's an incredibly diverse landscape, and the plants here have evolved, reflecting that diversity. Over millennia, farmers have selected their seeds, seeds that have adapted to this particular place, seeds that will ensure their survival, seeds saved freely, seeds exchanged freely, no corporate control. In a single field, there will be several varieties of a crop, one that will do well if it's a dry year, one that's good for bread, and one that is resistant to insects. It's a system designed for resilience and survival. For today's North American farmer, it's a different system and a different story. Weather and pests and crop conditions affect all farmers and our food supply.
Well, it's, I don't know, it'll be slightly below average this year. We had extreme heat through July and no rain, and it's pretty difficult to grow a crop without a July rain. We've got sawfly damage in there. You can see the stalks leaning over on the ones that are standing tall, and so this is a typical example where they've cut the stem off right at the base. There's just a myriad of things that can go wrong, and it actually really points to how fragile food production really is.
Food production in Ethiopia is fragile too. Here, farms are small and the land often marginal. There's little industrial-scale agriculture. Most of the crops grown here are farmers' varieties that have adapted to local conditions. But like everywhere, conditions are changing, so new varieties need to be developed. Crops need to be improved. In these plots, some varieties of wheat from other areas are being tested to see how they'll perform in this environment. There are test plots like these all over the world. But the difference here is that there's a partnership between farmers and scientists. Knowledge and seeds are exchanged freely. Everyone benefits.
It is one of the components of the on-farm crop genetic resource conservation strategy in Ethiopia.
And why should we care about biodiversity in Ethiopia? There's lots of variety in food everywhere.
We need biodiversity, and farmers they've been custodians of biodiversity. They've crossed and breeded and saved seeds and have been absolutely essential in having that basic material in place and growing, so that when we encounter disease problems, when we encounter rusts and changes in strains and insect problems and whatnot, that we can go back and we can source and breed and cross through those techniques, eliminate some of the very tenuous risks of producing food in the world.
I think the challenge you face is becoming quite common elsewhere. And there are challenges also that we are facing. So I think that is possible to do the same thing in Canada. It is simply restoring systems. Give it back to nature. Nature will adjust it. We are not masters of nature.
This barley is ready to straight cut just about any time now. The world will not mourn the loss of 2 or 3 international seed companies. The world will eat and live and get up the next morning if they happen to fall away because we've decided that intellectual property rights and gene patents are no longer appropriate in relation to seeds and food. I don't think the world will mourn the loss of these entities at all.
The rise in popularity of farmers markets, the rise in popularity of weekly box programs where the farmer delivers food directly to the consumer, that in the last 10 years has just skyrocketed. Farmers markets are out of control. I mean, every single farmer at my farmers market here in Serrano sells out every single week. We can't meet the demand that's out there right now. And all I think is we just need to encourage that kind of direct contact between farmers and eaters, let's say, or consumers of food. And we'll be building a much stronger and healthier and more secure food system in this country.
Food security in Ethiopia, Canada, or anywhere else questions a basic issue. Who do the seeds really belong to?
Seeds belong to farmers because farmers produce seed, farmers nurture it, farmers develop variety. And the ownership is of farmers, and the right to decide on how to maintain it, how to use it, still is of farmers. This should be recognized, and it is wise to recognize this ownership right.
ሰው ዘር መርጠው ነው የሚጋቡት ይባል ነበር እና እንኳን ዘር አሁን የእህል ዝርያዎች ተመርጠው የሚዘራው ዝም ብሎ በአጋጣሚ አይደለም። ዘርማ ከሌለ ዘር ተመርጦ ካልተቀመጠማ መኖር አይቻልም። እንዴት ተደርጎ መጠቀምም አንችልም።
For Aisha, her family, her neighbors, her community, life comes from the seeds.
Can we find enough consensus and enough political will to transform agriculture once again, to get out of the rut we're in, to get out of the constant crises, to get out of this increasing division between rich and poor in our food system, the increasing division between rural and urban? Can we somehow get out of that and say we need a new vision? We need a new vision that starts probably from the seeds.
It's the farmers on the periphery who are not